started?
Yes, sir.
Okay, start then. So today,
Sir, screen share. Sir.
screen share I have not done. Wait a second. Screen sharing. Okay. All right. So today, I want to take some examples of self inductors for which we want to find out the inductance. The most fundamental example from where I would like to start is that of solenoid. I will do two things here. For the solenoid, not only I will find out the inductance formula, I will find out also energy density formula in the solenoid. So to aim right now, what we want to do, we want to find out inductance of solenoid. And then we will not stop here. We will also find out energy density. Two things. First, let us go for inductance only. After that, I will explain energy density. This is how we represent solenoid. It is just telling us that current is entering here and then it is coming out again, entering, coming out, entering and coming out, and so on. Okay. This is how the current is flowing in this. So in this, if we already know what is the formula for magnetic field inside the solenoid, and we can find it quickly also by Ampere's law, but I will not do that now. I'll just directly tell you what is the formula for magnetic field.
Mu naught Ni.
Mu naught into Ni.
Ni.
Also, what is the flux due to that? If I give the radius to be smaller, length to be L, capital N to be total number of turns, number of turns per unit length, that is small n. So you know magnetic field formula, mu naught into small n into I. I is the current flowing through the solenoid. What will be flux? Here you may commit mistake. Tell me what is flux, what is your opinion? What will be the flux?
Into by R.
Yes, this is a common answer which everybody will think in the beginning, but you are forgetting that when we say flux through the solenoid, then we have to consider each turn as a separate area. How many total turns are there? This we can say it is fluxed through, it is flux per turn. This which you are giving answer, that is for flux per turn, but not the flux through the solenoid. So through the solenoid, it will be when after we multiply by n also, total number of turns. But I know I want to find out the inductance, and we know inductance is just phi divided by I. Let us write the value of phi and let us write the value of phi, and we get the answer. N into B into pi R square upon I, which is N into mu naught into N into pi R square. But capital N can be written in terms of small n, so I will prefer to write in that way, small n square by using the formula that capital N is small n into L. I used it to get this answer. And it makes it easier to remember also. Mu naught n square into volume. This is inductance. Sometimes they say what is the inductance per unit length, then you can divide by length, then it will become mu naught n square into area. This formula for inductance is valid only for long solenoids. For the cases where the radius is very small as compared to L. Where we used this relation in our derivation. Did we use it here? You may be thinking we never use it. We are just studying and we are not using L greater than R.
Mu naught is equal to n. Mu naught n.
Mu naught into
B.
Ni formula is valid only when we are able to, I think I told you before that if I take some point on the axis of the solenoid and I take these angles here, this angle is alpha one side and the other side angle is beta. As long as these alpha and beta are nearly 90 degrees, then only this formula mu naught into small n into I is valid. As long as alpha and beta, you can see these alpha beta, here this is axis, one side angle alpha, other side beta. Otherwise the formula comes out to be mu naught into Ni into sine
Sin
alpha
alpha
plus
sin beta by
sine
2.
beta divided by 2. This is a formula for finite solenoid. Only when alpha tends to 90 degree and beta tends to 90 degree, then only we can just simply write it as mu naught Ni. And that will be correct. That will be true for the cases when L is very, very large as compared to R. Then even when we are very close to the end also, even when we are very close to the end, even in that case also angle formed will be much larger. For example, we are, let us say, L by 100 distance from the end, but maybe L by 100 is also much larger than R. Then that will also be able to form 90-degree angle nearly, right? So in that case, means as large as L as compared to small r, the more correct our approximation will be. It will be more close to the true value. So anyway, we are assuming that kind of solenoid only. So for that kind of solenoid, inductance is right. Now I want to find out energy stored in inductor. Second thing, energy stored in inductor. I already told you yesterday, or maybe
Half Li
yesterday only, I think
square.
half Li square. This is the energy stored. It will be stored in the form of magnetic field. But I would like to know, see, if I write it half also multiplied, I'm just writing L value, and then after that, if I write it as mu naught square n square I square into volume into half, or finally half into,
By mu naught.
sorry,
By mu naught.
divide half into B square by mu naught into volume, that is energy. This gives me an interesting relation of small u. What is small u here?
Energy density.
And it is magnetic energy density. Magnetic field stored in the form of magnetic field. And that is just very simple relation, half into B square by mu naught. Never to forget it. Magnetic energy density formula. No, mu naught we don't need if it is not having, if it is not just a vacuum inside the solenoid, but some other substance, then I can write it as half into B square by mu. And also electric energy density was half epsilon into E square. These are somewhat similar to each other and we use these in many places. So let us remember these two together. And this formula also happens to be of electrostatic pressure, and above formula happens to be of magnetostatic pressure. If I have a current carrying wire close to which we have, or current carrying some cylindrical wire, and close to it we have magnetic field B, then the magnetic pressure will be half into B square by mu on the surface of it. So energy density and magnetostatic pressure has same formula. Same way, and electrical energy density and the electrostatic pressure have same formula. But I prefer to call it as energy density formula, not of electrostatic magnetostatic pressure. Reason is, it will be magnetostatic pressure only when the magnetic field which we are writing here is very close to the surface of the current carrying wire. But energy density is still valid even if I take some far away some point, and at that point I know what is the field, then I can find out what is the energy density stored in that near that point. I don't have to be taking the magnetic field only close to the surface. But when we take the magnetic field close to the surface, then it also becomes the formula of magnetostatic pressure. Okay, acting on a maybe cylindrical shell where one side field is 0, other side field is existing, and the cylindrical shell carries current I, then we can apply it. If both sides fields are there, one side also there, outside other side also there, then pressure from one side, pressure from other side, then the net effective pressure will be the difference of those two pressures. We can think in that. Anyway, right now, I expect you to remember these relations. A very important relation this one is, and I want you to remember it. And this one you already know. And here phi by I also, I think everybody knows this important relation only. And then recently we have found one more formula for inductance of solenoid, self-inductance of solenoid. So solenoid is not the only inductor. Although symbol of inductance comes from the solenoid only, but it is not the only inductor. There are several other types of inductors possible. Any conducting loop, closed loop will be like a inductor only. So somebody may ask you what is the formula for self-inductance of just a single current carrying wire. But it is difficult to derive. Using elementary mathematics, we cannot derive. It is very difficult to derive using we can derive it only by advanced mathematics. But I just want to tell you that yes, it is true that we can find out the inductance for any closed loop. For a single current carrying loop of radius r also we can find out. In Erudov, in one question, he has given the formula for that. But that formula also, when I tried to learn more about that formula, I found that that formula is also approximate, and also that too derived with the very advanced mathematics. So no need to obviously worry about such formula. But anyway, the basics which we should know for self-inductance, I can find out maybe self-inductance of a toroid. Toroid self-inductance, or some other cases, I will take few other cases. What is the self-inductance of a toroid? Toroid with a square cross-section. Let us take a toroid with a square cross-section. How to make a proper toroid? Wait a second, let me think. Somewhat roughly I am trying to draw it, but obviously it is not exact shape.
Sir, you joined opposite ones.
Opposite one I joined. Which one?
Both are you joined opposite.
This only, no? This way only I should join.
Yes, sir.
It is right only, and the wire will be around it. It is half of the toroid. Means full toroid will be when it will be complete circle. But we just say, we want to draw the diagram which is suitable to determine the magnetic flux. So that diagram is when we will take a half part of that toroid. It is a complete toroid. Don't think that it is just half of it. And it has radius. What you want to take radius, maybe inner radius R, and maybe this is A, this A square of, or it could be square, or it could be some rectangle A into H height. So the outer radius will become R plus A. And if I want to find out what is the flux through this red color element I have taken here, this red color element will be here also. It will be the same flux throughout this same magnetic, because magnetic field will be in circle. If you remember the formula for magnetic field due to toroid, then you will tell me that what we want to find out here, L of toroid. That is our aim to determine. What is the formula for magnetic field? Same as that of solenoid, but I don't write in terms of small n, I write in terms of total number of turns. N by 2 pi r into I. Is it right? Where r is which radius here? R is variable radius, or maybe let me write it as x, so that I can say that x is a variable radius, not r. R is inner, r plus a is outer, and x is any up to the element. X is radius up to the element. This is the formula for the magnetic field. So what will be the flux passing through this small elemental area? That flux will be mu naught phi will be equal to mu naught into n upon 2 pi x into I into dx into h. That is d phi. What will be the net flux integrated? Mu naught upon 2 pi into I into n, total number of turns in the toroid, into h into dx by x, limits r to r plus a. So as a result, we are getting mu naught n h upon 2 pi log of r plus a upon r, and we have left current.
Sir,
That is flux. What is the value of self-inductance for the toroid? Start with our formula phi upon I. I is here also, that I will get cancelled. So the final result which we are getting is much simpler result. This is the result finally. Self-inductance of toroid. Pritam, you wanted to ask something?
no, sir, I was saying I only, sir. That I you forgot to write. I was saying that.
I
Sir,
I
one
had
follow-up.
forgotten. So this, yes. It is half part of toroid, means it is not the complete toroid. Obviously, you understand toroid will be complete closed.
Yes, sir.
In this winding will be everywhere, but we are just taking one part of it. No, we don't need entire diagram of the toroid. This is a toroid. One current enters one side and leaves from other side. Okay. And this toroid is a special toroid with a square cross section. If it is toroid of a circular cross section, then the integration will be slightly more complicated. Therefore, we did not take that. That will be complicated, and I think that is not required also. I have not seen such questions. So this is enough for us to understand. Other example of self-inductance. If I take one cylindrical coaxial cable. What is meaning of coaxial cable, first of all? What is the meaning of coaxial cable? Coaxial, same a common axis. Means there are two cylindrical cylinders here, and one cylinder is inside. Let us say it carries current upside, and then from above it goes to all directions, and then it returns back. And then again, is it forming a closed loop or not?
Yes, sir.
It is forming a closed loop. This question, whenever it is asked in exam, they don't generally specify the details. They simply say that it is a long cylinder so that we cannot see its ends. And that long cylinder has one wire inside. It may be just a wire. They don't even say inside it is cylinder. Inside it could be wire also. We don't care. Inside it has some small wire or maybe some cross section of some small radius A. And outside radius is B. And they say that the current returns from outside. This current goes from inside and it returns uniformly from outside in all directions. Or they don't even say returns. They simply say sometimes this carries current I inside and outside in opposite directions. And then they ask to find out the self-inductance. I don't know why they do like that, but that does not even make sense. Self-inductance is for closed loops. So there should be a closed loop. They don't specify it, but it is already there. But when they're saying it is infinite, means we don't get to see its ends. So we don't know how it is returning from the ends. We don't care also. And when they're asking find out this self-inductance per unit length, then we don't care what is happening over the ends. All we need to see is what happens here at a point which is, or at those points which are close to us. At those points, if my length of observation is, let us say, between these two dotted lines, then in between these two dotted lines, let us say the length is given to us as L. And in this, between two dotted lines, the current is returning from outside, and inside it is going up. And from outside it is coming down. This I is not just current on one side, it is throughout the circumference. I hope you understand, it is everywhere. It is throughout the circumference. Okay. Now, what is the radius of inner one? I gave you the radius of inner one is A and outer one is taken to be, what I gave outer one? B. Find out the self-inductance for this. To find out self-inductance in this case, again take some small, I want to find out the flux through the area. So you imagine what kind of area should I take where the flux is existing. Everybody knows that flux exists only within A and B when R is between A and B. You should know if you don't know. You should know. Outside the flux will be zero. Field will be zero. Why so? Because outside, if I take by Ampere's circuit law, if I use that Ampere's circuit law, then I will be getting B into 2 pi R is equal to mu naught into net current enclosed, and net current enclosed is going up and coming down, becoming zero. So B outside is zero. But when we are inside between A to B, within A, when R is less than B, A also, then also B is zero. For R greater than B also, B is zero. So we are not interested in this. We are interested in A to B. In A to B, I want to find out what is the flux through any area. Let us say I am taking this area here, this shaded area. This shaded area has a radius, this is at a distance small r from one end, and its width will be dr and length will be L. What will be the flux through it? Tell me now. You have to tell yourself only. What is B here at a distance r? Use Ampere's law. B into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught into current enclosed, I only. So B is coming out to be mu naught into I by 2 pi r. So what is the flux? Multiply by area. Which area? Area of the red element which I have taken here. What is the area of that? dr width and L length. Take the constants out, mu naught out, I out, 2 pi outside, L outside, left with dr by r. Integration varies from A to B. So are we getting the flux now? Getting or not? What is the flux that we are getting? Flux we are getting at last mu naught I L by 2 pi ln B divided by A, right or not? What is flux per unit current? Self-inductance. And what is that here? That's it. I have another way to arrive at the same sorry. I have another way to arrive at the same conclusion. Another way, alternative way. I have told you one thing now, that magnetic energy density formula is half B square by mu. Do you know what is the volume in which the magnetic field is contained? What is that volume? That volume is from A to B. So if somehow I am able to calculate the energy stored between A to B, then I will equate that energy stored. What will be energy stored? Energy stored will be equal to energy into volume integral. I can write this as energy stored per unit volume. You know, this thing can give us this total energy will be U into dV integral. U is this into dV. What is the volume of that element? Volume of that element is equal to L into what was it? dr. L into dr. That is the volume. Integral of that. If I take limits, I put again A to B, then that is a total energy. But I have another formula for total energy, half of L into I square. So what I know now, I know the self-inductance. Sorry, I know the
Sir,
current,
how
and I know
L into
the,
dr, sir?
and I know here in the left hand side.
Sir, L into dr volume into R
It's area, no, sir.
area, sir.
L into 2 pi r.
Oh yes, I have to. Yes, you are right on. This is area only. I have to take a volume, means I have to 2 pi
Into 2 pi r.
2 pi r. 2 pi r
LDR
also.
into 2 pi r.
Yes, you are right actually. That now it is volume. But I mean to say that finally I want to get inductance. So in this equation, everything else is known except the inductance. Can I find inductance again? Try once. You will develop the trust by this way. You will develop the trust in all the formula here which we are using. What formula we are using? One formula we are using, this one. For for energy density, that formula. Another formula we are using, one way we are using to find out self-inductance here. Another way we are using to find out self-inductance here. So if we get the same result by both the methods, then you will develop the trust in these properly, and you will understand, okay, yes, we are understanding everything. Here, first of all, one more thing here. I am interested in energy density within the L length region. So I have to take self-inductance also for that L length only. Okay, because here also I am taking up to L length. So here also I have to take self-inductance also for L length only, not the total. I don't know, that is infinite. For infinite, self-inductance will come out to be infinite only, obviously, because L will become infinite. But we are taking here self-inductance per unit length. In such cases, normally they don't ask self-inductance. Normally they ask self-inductance per unit length or self-inductance for a given length. Then we can get in this way. So can you do it yourself now? I am just leaving it here. I think you can do. I will just leave you. And I bet you that answer will come out to be same by this method and by that method. By both the methods.
Sir, once explain volume elements dV.
Volume means that volume in which we are having this same field B. No, B field will be same at a distance R. And at a distance R, I can take the complete cylindrical shell element. In that cylindrical shell, it will be same energy density. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that energy density multiplied by the volume of that cylindrical shell element, that will be du, we can say, d capital U. So integral of d capital U will give us U, total energy density. Okay. Chandan.
Yes, sir.
Right, good. So fine, we understood this part. And then some other cases of self-inductance. Let me think if we can have some other case. Oh, yes, one thing I am remembering now, one more thing. Here I took cylindrical shell. I can take two sheets which are parallel to each other, and one of these sheets carry current in one direction, and the other one carries current in other direction. Magnitude wise, the current is same. Again, infinite, and width of this is b, but length is infinite. It goes up to infinity. Okay. Current per unit length is given as k. Now again, same thing. Find out, and the gap between them is less, so that we can use the formula for the, what is the formula for the field inside it? If you remember it, I don't know you remember or not, but for one sheet it will be mu naught into k by 2. If the currents are in opposite direction, then for both it will be mu naught into k by 2 for each, and then it will become 2 into mu naught into k by 2. So overall it will become mu naught into k. Otherwise also we understand, for a solenoid it is mu naught into current per unit length. Here current per unit length is not ni, but it is just k only. So that is right only, mu naught into k only we expect. And this diagram is, if I look at from this point, from this side, let us place I here. This is observer. What this observer will be seeing at? This observer will be seeing at B length.
That's solenoid.
And it will appear like the current is entering
That's
here.
solenoid.
Yes, like a solenoid. And this current will be coming out. Although solenoid is taking turns, here there are no turns being taken. But the representation, at least the representation is in the same way. We represent it in the same way. But obviously there is no such, obviously winding like springs like shape is not there obviously. But representation, diagrammatic representation is same. No difference at all. Okay. So now formula for field we already found, and if I look from this side, I think field will be in which direction? Mu naught into k. If I use right hand thumb rule, and then I can say the field will be in this direction. Take like a solenoid only first. If you assume it is a solenoid and you turn your fingers in the direction of current, then thumb will be pointing towards left. Although it is not a solenoid, but yes, field will be found in the same way as if it is a solenoid only, and as if solenoid having this kind of turns. So we can find out the field will be in this direction. And value of that field we already know. But wait, I want to find out. What do I want to find out now? Self-inductance. How to find out self-inductance? Now you think how to find it out. Flux, how to find out the flux due to the field? Flux I have to find out by taking some area which is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Here magnetic field is going this side. So what kind of area element I should choose now? Magnetic field in this case will be going in this direction. The direction of magnetic field will be like this. So I should choose area which is
Perpendicular to
to this.
magnetic field.
So let me choose the area with different color here. I can choose area maybe like this I can take, right? This area I can take. It is perpendicular to the magnetic field direction. And in this area, this green colored area, if I take this area up to length L, although it is infinite, but I have to take up to length L only. And its width between, the gap between these, I have to mention something. Otherwise we cannot answer. Gap, let the gap be, what do you want to take gap as? T. T is the gap between these. So L into T is the area. And because the magnetic field is uniform, so I can simply take,
Can you give me that?
after some time, we can simply say phi is equal to B into area, which will be equal to mu naught into K into length into thickness. What is self-inductance? Flux per unit current. So I think we can get it now, it seems, because I know current is K is equal to current flowing per unit width. The current is flowing in this direction, and in this direction the current is flowing. We know that net current is equal to I. So I upon B will be K. What do we get now? Mu naught into I into L into T divided by B into I. Mu naught into L into T divided by B. Is it right? Check dimensions. Dimensionally coming out to be correct or not? Mu naught L length. What are the dimensions of this? Dimensions of self-inductance are that of mu naught into length.
Yes, sir.
Correct only.
Getting
Correct. Same dimension only. Mu naught into length into T upon B. That is the self-inductance. So how many formulae we got so far for the self-inductance? Starting from number solenoid first. That we ended up getting here, number 1. Then we ended up getting another formula for the toroid somewhere. Where is the toroid formula? Toroid second. Third one we ended up getting for this case, that is number 3. Here I have left for you. You have to see yourself that is it we are getting same answer from here or not. I am suggesting you to do some work here, right? 3 formulae, I think 3 so far, 3. And the last one is this one here, 4th one. So same way we can get for any closed carrying loop, wherever we can find out. We can find out unfortunately magnetic field only for very few cases. And I think the cases for which we can find out, those cases I have nearly covered, I think so. I think I have one case I can see, one more case was here. First of all, there should be a closed loop, and we should be able to find out magnetic field. If we are able to do both, then only we can find out the self-inductance. Otherwise, we cannot find out. One more case I have determined field in one more case, and I don't know you remember it or not, but I have told you before. Does it are you recalling from here something? Magnetic field is going, no, the current is going from north to south pole of this, and then from south it is spreading uniformly in all directions of the sphere.
ACL you don't.
I have told you by using ACL. It is simple question only, and in this case the magnetic field exists only inside the sphere, and outside it becomes 0 everywhere. So in this sphere where the field is inside and outside it is 0, can you find it out what will be the total energy density? If you are able to find out the total energy, sorry, not energy density, total energy stored, then also we can get self-inductance. Or if you can find out, excuse me, sorry, or if you can find out what is the, here I think I should give this wire to be slightly thicker wire. Otherwise, there will be problem, because when we take that limits will be going from 0 to log of 0 will be coming here. I have to take some thick wire here. It has some inner radius A, and this goes up to R. Although A is very, very small as compared to R. So I can take it like cylindrical wire only. It is cylindrical wire. Otherwise, in the end, it will not be a perfect cylinder. So I will assume it to be cylindrical wire. A to R. A to capital R, the magnetic field is existing. And if we are able to find out the total magnetic energy stored due to the current I, then I will be getting answer. Another way will be, I have to find out the flux, and flux I have to find out by taking what kind of elements I should take. I should take elements which are here. Magnetic field lines are in the form of circles. So area, I have to take some area which is perpendicular to the magnetic field lines. This area I have to take here at a distance small r. Its height, what height I should take for this now? I have to see. I have not done it before. I don't know whether this integration will be complicated or not, but okay, we should experiment. We should see whether we can get something or not. If we are getting, then fine. Otherwise, no need. R, this is theta. So I think I can write this total height of this as h and width dr. What will be the area then? Area dA will come out to be r sine theta into 2 into dr. Is it right or not?
Yes, sir.
And I think everybody agrees that because the magnetic field lines are in, wait a second, magnetic field lines will not be this way, it will be this side. But it will be closed loops. It will be in the form of closed loops. So this area is perpendicular to those magnetic field lines. So I can use this area to find out the flux passing through this. I have to find flux in which total area? Total area I have to take from, we can see half part of this, this if I take this half part here, this side I will take the area. What is the area here? This half semicircle we can say. In this semicircle I have to find out what is the flux. So to do that, I will write now magnetic field formula, which is in this case I told you by Ampere's circuit law we were getting same formula as that of infinite current carrying wire, 2Ki by R magnetic field into dA, that is d phi. Integral of this I want, that will be phi, but I want flux per unit length, sorry, per unit current. So if I divide by I, then that will give us L. So what is L coming out to be? L is coming out to be 2K into dA by R. I will be cancelled here, right? I will be cancelled. Phi upon I is L is equal to phi upon I. 2K is constant taken out. Integral of dA divided by R. Now, whether we can do or not depends on whether we can integrate or not. Let us see once whether it is integrable function or it is non-integrable. Sine theta into dr. What is small r? Small r can be written as capital R cos theta. Then I can write dr as r sine theta into dr with minus sign, obviously. Minus sign also.
D theta.
So, yes, d theta, right. Then what we get next? 1r comes here, 2r square. 1 minus sign comes, minus 2r square. 1 more sin theta comes, sin square theta into dr divided by r. R is equal to r cos theta integral. Is it easy to integrate or not? Answer will depend on the fact whether we can get answer or not, depends on the fact whether it is easy to integrate or not. 4K r minus is there. I don't have to worry about minus sign. Otherwise also I will be determining magnitude of the flux. I don't have to worry about the negative sign here, right? So next we are getting, is it integration easy or not? Sin square theta upon cos theta. Or I can write, yes.
Sir, is current coming from infinity, sir?
No, north to south and then returning back in this sphere only. Magnetic field is only within this sphere. What are you even talking about, Chandraharsha? This I told in the beginning and I have discussed this question already in the class. Therefore, I did not elaborate again where it is coming from. Although I said, I think here, just in a quick way, without telling in detail, because I told you already what is the situation. It comes from north to south and then it spreads uniformly in all directions. But I can still apply the formula for infinite, the current due to infinite wire, because I can use Ampere's circuit law. When we use Ampere's circuit law, it will give us B into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught into current enclosed. That doesn't care whether it is coming from infinity or not, as long as it is symmetric situation. So I could use this formula mu naught I upon 2 pi r, although it is for infinite wire, but it is also valid for this also.
Understood, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now you tell me, is it integration possible for this or not? Sin square theta d theta upon cos theta.
1 minus cos square theta.
1 minus cos square theta upon cos theta.
Cos theta.
Yes, we can integrate it easily because secant theta we can integrate, and second term is so easy. Yes, very nice, very nice. We can do it. Then we can get the answer easily. Minus cos theta into d theta, and that is whole multiplied by 4k r. K is equal to mu naught by 4 pi. So we are able to get its self-inductance. Okay. Limits. Now we know that theta varies from what to what. I told you that, which angle I have taken theta here? Let me check once. I have taken with horizontal theta. If I have taken this angle as theta, then it goes from 0 to not 90 degree, but little less than 90 degree. It does not go up to 90. It goes to little less than 90 because it is A and it is R. So I think it can write, we can write it as, what should I write it now? Cos inverse A by R. Right or not? See, if you are not, this is finally, it is ending at the, this is ending at the cylinder at last. No, this wire inside is cylindrical wire here. Let me make it properly. This is at last a cylindrical wire of radius a. So this is radius r, and this is a radius. This angle I have taken theta. Then we know that r cos theta is equal to a. R cos theta is equal to a. So theta is equal to cos inverse a by r. You agree with this or not?
Yes, sir.
That only, cos inverse a by r. What is this wire here? This inner, this thing here is like a wire, cylindrical wire of small area of cross section a. This is like a cylindrical wire of small area of cross section a. From where then the current starts spreading outwards in all directions. From here it comes and then it starts spreading in all directions in this all over the sphere, over the surface of the sphere. So this theta angle will go only up to the cylinder. It cannot go inside it. So I cannot take 0 to 90. I can take 0 to cos inverse a by r. 0 to cos inverse a by r. 0 to cos inverse a by r. So can you get the answer now? Say something.
Yes.
We can get it. So it will be valid even if a is large. Don't think that it is valid only for small a. I gave you a small a here, but it will be valid even if a is large. If it is a big cylindrical, but it should be cylindrical shell, because inside there should not be any magnetic field. Magnetic field will be only in between these two. Otherwise, if some flux is inside, then I have to take account that flux also. So I'm not assuming that. Yes.
Very small, it tends to infinity.
What?
It's very small, it tends to infinity.
If it is very small, it will be tending to, what will be tending to infinity?
Secant it.
Right. So, but tending to infinity does not mean actual infinity. It means it will be large, we can say. It will be large, but infinity directly we cannot say. But I mean to say that I can take it small. I'm not giving it 0. I'm giving it small value. 0 and small is two different things. 0 means it will be infinity. But if it is not 0, then it can never be infinity.
Minus
it will still be finite only. Minus is there, but at last you ignore that minus sign because we want answer only magnitude wise, obviously. Inductance, self-inductance cannot be negative. Anyway, this you can do now. It is not much difficult to mean. I think you know the formula for this or not? Log of something. What is that formula for secant theta integration? Is it log secant theta minus
secant
theta
plus tan theta?
Secant theta plus tan theta log, right? That only.
Simply
So we can get it.
Sin square theta by cos
integral
theta
is secant theta, sir.
tan theta into secant theta. Sir.
Overall integral is secant theta, sir.
Sin square theta by cos theta. Write
We
as
can write
tan
as
theta.
secant
This
theta
directly you
into
are
tan
saying.
theta. Secant theta into tan theta.
This we can
Yes,
write
sir.
secant theta into
Tan theta.
Secant theta.
sine upon cos is tan, and then how are you getting that? Wait, I don't understand.
Integral
1
secant
Sin
minus
upon
cos
cos.
square equal to sin, sir.
Secant
Wait a second.
Sin into tan.
Sine. I can write it as tan theta into sine theta into d theta. And now you want to do what here from here?
tan theta into secant theta. Sir.
How secant?
Oh,
What are you doing really? It is not secant. It is tan theta into sine theta. Anyway, we can solve it. So I'm leaving after this for you. Otherwise, also it is not a standard question which is asked in several tests. So it is highly unlikely to be asked in the examination also. But I mean to say, they can ask questions only up to that level for which you have a clear-cut integration possible. And if integration is possible, then they can definitely ask. And for this integration is possible, and you know such integration, it is of 12th level only. Definitely, then such questions can be asked. Okay. If not in weekend, maybe somebody can frame, or not this question, some other kinds of questions which are of similar nature. So you should be experimenting with different cases. So that will be always better, right? Sin theta. Now you put the limits. I'm leaving it for you after that, and take it magnitude wise. One thing you notice, L will be always positive, that you already know. And other than that, it does not depend on I. It will be only dependent on the dimensions, L, T, B. See, observe it from the beginning. L log of B by A, mu naught into L upon 2 pi into log of B by A, mu naught into NH upon 2 pi into number of turns. It depends on that also. R, A. It depends on the dimensions, the number of turns, etc. But it does not depend on current and the flux. It is independent of those quantities. Next question I can take, which is maybe, I think this is enough. This kind of questions we are able to do. Or then if something else comes to my mind, or if I find somewhere, I will tell you. Now we can think about mutual inductance cases of mutual inductance. How to find out mutual inductance. Mutual inductance cases. Now I need two loops for this. One loop will not be enough, obviously, that it is just a self-inductance only. Find mutual inductance, there will be two loops involved. So I did not derive formula for that, but I just discussed what is mutual inductance. I did not derive the formula for that. So today we will derive some mutual inductance formula. For example, if I take one case of a infinite current carrying wire along with one square loop. For this, we want to find out. This carries current I. I think you can find out. You already got the experience now, and in fact, similar integration we did.
By I. Yes, sir.
Yes, flux. So flux I have to take.
Mu not I
mutual-
by
I told you one thing. I told you one thing, that mutual inductance will be between two loops. Where are the two loops here?
Right
Root
line.
also there, sir,
Right
but you are
line.
kindly why
This always, the infinite connecting wire will not be just going nowhere. It will also be forming some loop, but we don't know how it is forming, whether it is returning from this side or it is going that side, and I don't need to worry about it. Any case it can be going in any manner. I don't even need to worry about that. However way, whatever way it is finally curving, turning, maybe it is going and it is coming, spreading outwards like a sphere, the way we did in the last case. Whatever the case may be, I need not worry about it. This is another loop, A, B, C, D, conducting loop. So what will be the mutual inductance? I can tell you, I told you mutual inductance between 2 and 1 is flux in 2 due to 1 upon current in 1. Or flux in 1 due to 2 upon current in 2. We have a choice. Although both will be same things. But we have a choice. I should take current in which loop? They will not give us current here. That current is going in the first loop. They may give us like this also. Current may be given in the second loop. But when we want to find out the mutual inductance, we know it does not depend on the current. So whether they give current or they don't give current, we don't care. We can choose current in any one of these conductors. And then we can take, we can use the formula. But which one is more convenient? Why I choose first conductor carrying current and why I did not choose the current in the second conductor? Because you know,
integration.
yes, because we already know what is the field due to the first conductor at a distance r, and we are going to use it to our advantage to find out the flux in this blue colored area element. And let us say it has again take some height h and radius r, and width of this we can take something, take it as a, and take the distance which is closer distance is something, maybe take it also as a, or maybe take it as a, take it as b. A, B and H. R varies from what to what? R varies from A to
A plus B.
A plus B. So I think this integration we did before. Can you tell me what is it now? 2ki by r into area.
A into dr.
Area will be dr is the width and h is the height.
H into dr
H into dr.
by
Integral is equal to flux, but I need flux divided by I. So L will be equal to phi upon I. I will be just cancelled finally, and it is 2I. H to kh into log of limits going from a to a plus b, log of a plus b divided by a. Same thing as before, no difference at all. Similar case we have done before, I think. There it was self-inductance, and that self-inductance was for that was for
Right.
what case?
Right.
For this case, I think. For this case or for not for this case.
Right.
Toroid case, I
Toroid.
think, right? That was for toroid. It is similar formula only, but there it is n into h, and here it will be n is not there. N is not there in this case. But yes, nearly same is okay. No need to learn this formula, just learn the method. You can derive these in the examination. So now it gives now power to your imagination. Whatever cases you can frame yourself also. If you want, you can frame such
Sir,
cases
it
now.
is M.
Keep on. Yes.
It is
Oh,
M,
sorry.
sir. You wrote.
Yes, it is. It is not represented by L. It is represented by M. Sorry.
Hey,
It is mutual inductance M.
Sriram,
Okay. Right.
Sriram, sound like each other.
And let me ask you a slightly different question here, and it will be interesting, I think, for you to understand that question can be asked and you can still answer it easily. You will be surprised also, kind of surprised, I think so, by that, what I will be going to tell you now. So, taking again, same situation, but different question this time. So this is again a current carrying loop, and in that current this time is going in this, it is I1 and no current in, there may not be any current here. No need to find this, current is not there. Current is in this side, right? And it is I. What is the flux due to this current carrying wire? Through, if I don't give you loop and if I say current is only going from minus infinity to plus infinity, then this will not be fair. So I will say through this loop. It is very long, I will say it is very long length. And after very, very long, large distance away, it is somehow turning and then returning back. What will be flux passing through this? Can you find out the flux passing through this loop? Due to the current carrying wire I.
we get from M equal to 512 by I2. M is same in two cases.
Yes, M is same in these two cases. So flux will be simply equal to M, already we obtained M into I. That is the flux. Passing through which area? Through this area, this complete big area I have given. But what is the point of confusion and a little bit of, I think you will not understand it clearly if I change the question slightly. Now I give this again very long area, but this time I am making slightly different area from the last case. Then what is the flux now? Will it still be same or will it be different now?
Same, sir.
Same.
But how can it be same when there are two areas?
Because those are infinity, sir.
Come.
Those are at infinity.
Yes, this part will be having
Small area
negligible
also
magnetic field. Magnetic field in this region, this extra region, magnetic field, because these are already infinite. These are going up to very large distance away. These are not within the sheet of the paper here. These are going up to very large distance away. And from there, they are returning and making a loop. And whether this loop is made this side or it is made other side, that also doesn't make a difference actually. It will be same area. Sorry, same flux. Amazingly, it will be same flux. That flux includes, if I take in this side, then this will be current carrying wire is carrying current this side cross. Yes, cross. And here it will be dot. So this includes that net flux, means it includes the this part of dot and cross both. Overall flux will be in downward direction only. Why? Because the net flux will be more within the loop as compared to the throughout the remaining part. Why so? because number of field lines will be same. So if there are, let us say, million crosses taken, then there will be million dots also. And those million dots are spread, let us say, throughout the region. But these crosses are only contained within the small region only, within the square loop. But it does not mean that a number of dots will become, because these are over a larger area, then these number of dots will be more. Okay. So number of dots will be here less. Each dot is representing, let us say, one field line, and each cross is representing one field line, which is going inside, and one dot is coming outside. So going inside will be same as coming outside. But all the field lines which are going inside are within this region only. But the ones which are coming outside are everywhere. They are everywhere in the remaining part. Okay. So overall flux in this loop, which I have taken, which loop I have taken? This loop here, right hand side loop. Overall flux in this will be negative flux going into the plane. And overall flux on the left hand side loop will be, what flux will be in the left hand side of loop? It will be positive flux outwards. But the magnitude of the flux on the left hand side of this wire and on the right hand side of this wire will be magnitude wise equal flux. It will not be different. It will be equal only. And that will be equal to M into I, mutual inductance into I. Understood somewhat? Is it clear?
Sir, how equal one's expense in left and right?
How?
In left loop and right loop, how they are equal?
They are equal because when we found out the mutual inductance, then I did not even tell you that how the loop is returning back. Means you can apply the same logic for finding out the flux. That flux is equal to mutual inductance into I. That will still work. Whether I give loop in left hand side or I give it in right hand side, this formula will still be valid or not? Tell me.
Yes, sir, valid.
So yes, that's why it will be same only. It will be same only. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So fine.
Crosses will not decrease, sir.
Crosses will not decrease means I could not understand. You are saying that these crosses are here less. Here in the left hand side there is, in the right hand side there is no. Sorry, in the right hand side there were crosses, but in the left hand side there are no crosses, right?
Yes.
Let us do one thing. Let us give the name of the cross flux as cross, and let us give the name of dot flux as dot. What I am saying is that net flux on the right hand side. We are looking at the right hand side. This net flux, it is in right hand side. It is in right hand side is equal to net flux in the due to dot in the left hand side. Why this cannot be equal? This can be equal. What it will be now? It will be here. It will be cross is more. So cross minus flux due to dot. That it magnitude wise it will be now it will be subtracted because it is in one direction. It is in the other direction. This will be magnitude wise equal to phi dot in the left. Why it cannot be equal? This can be equal. If it is equal, then it is only telling us that phi due to cross on the right hand side was equal to phi due to dot on the left hand side plus phi due to dot on the right hand side. And that is absolutely correct because the net field which was entering, that field has to come out also. So net flux which was entering, that flux has to come out again. Right or not? Because the total flux due to closed lines, magnetic fields are always forming closed lines. So net flux in the complete plane has to be zero always. So it is correct only that net flux which is entering into the plane has to be equal to net flux which is coming out of the plane. So outward flux is equal to inward flux. So from that only we are getting this result that here I am putting with proper sign. Here it is, this is not correct. Here I should write with minus sign because it is going inside and it is coming outside. And this magnitude wise is equal to this magnitude wise. Understood? Chandan?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. So this is, wait a second. Can you see it, the screen or not? Hello?
Visible, sir.
Okay, visual, right. So next, mutual inductance we were taking. So I have taken just one example, but I wanted to tell you that there is no limit up to what kind of questions we can frame. Just only thing that is required, you should be able to determine flux. And if you are able to determine that, then they can ask the question. And do you remember that I have taken such questions where I found out the flux for such triangles and for such triangles.
Yes,
And
sir.
so now just do one thing. Again, this week again, derive those flux formula again. And after deriving those flux formulae, divide those flux by the current. Then those will be giving us the mutual inductance. Same formula again, but now we have to divide by current. And how to derive for the triangle? I recommend to derive for the triangle in two ways. Means one, you take this kind of triangle in which a right angle triangle, and this is also right angle triangle. But in this case, the perpendicular is close to the wire, and in this case, perpendicular is away from the wire. Or this one is away, or this one is close, right? And in both these cases, you try to find out the flux through this. Once you are able to do that, then you can find out mutual inductance for the one case and for the second case. And once you are able to find for these two cases, then you can find out the flux for this triangle also. Why? Because it is also composed of two parts, one part and the second part.
Triangles.
One triangle and the second triangle. If you are able to find for one and for second, then you can find for this this kind of triangle also. And now you can find, if you are able to find for one and two, then you can find for any other triangle. For example, somebody gives us this triangle. I can always split it into right angle triangles like this. This way, and in the lower part, I have to split it in this way. Extra triangle I have to take first, and then I have to subtract that part. Extra I have taken, and then I have subtracted that part. Then means overall any triangle can be composed into right angled triangles. So I should know only two kinds of right angled triangles. I should know how to find out the flux in this right angled triangle and how to find out the flux in this right angled triangle. If I am able to do for these two, then I can find for any other triangle also. So no difficulty in that. So do you know how to find for the first case? You remember it, or you want me to take it again?
Remember, sir.
So then you go through it once again. Okay, revise it once. You will understand. I think just divide by current, and that will be giving us quickly again formula for mutual inductance. One formula which appeared very tough last time. I think that was of finding out circle. Yes, that was circle question. That was tough question here.
Integration
And
not possible.
because integration is tough in that. No, but not possible. It is possible actually, and I got it somewhere. And internet also, there is some place it was integration was given. Let me see if I have kept it here only or not. If it is here, then I will show you. Yes, here it is. I think so. Yes, I wanted to show you this integration, so that's why I just brought this question directly as it is from some source. Determine the mutual inductance between the circular loop and the linear current shown. So in this case, they are not taking the vertical wire, but same thing. They are taking this red wire, in which carries current I1 in this direction, and then at a distance d from here, there is a circle of radius a. At the center of the circle is at a distance d. We want to find out the flux through this, so that flux upon current will be the mutual inductance. So how they are doing it now? See, they are integrating it in this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and result at last comes out to be complicated integration somewhat. At your level, I think this question will not be asked. But if somebody is interested to see, then I thought I should tell you this thing also. So therefore, I just brought it here. You can go to see what are the steps involved in integration. Let us go through the steps now once. One integration is this kind of integration. Can you do this kind of integration? A square minus y square is over half into dy upon d plus y. If you can do this, then fair enough. But see, they are able to convert this integration into very simplified terms by some substitution methods. They are able to convert it into just root r by z, this simple integration at last, which is very simple. They are calling mutual inductance as L12. So when they are saying 1, 2, you understand whether they may not be representing it as M. Sometimes we represent by L also, but it is not self-inductance. It is mutual inductance only. Anyway, question next. Then after that, they are just putting the values again back. What they are doing next? I don't understand now why they are integrating again.
Or again the
Means it is too complicated, I think, for you to even see also, I think so. First I was thinking maybe by seeing it you will understand something, but no, it is really too complicated. Although at last answer is simple only, it is not that tough. See, mu naught upon pi into pi d minus pi root of d square minus a square, and that is just equal to mu naught into d minus root of d square minus a square. Because the answer was simple, so somehow I am feeling that there will be some ways to simplify this integration. Probably we can do it by some other ways, and we can simplify it, I think so, because otherwise we will not get such simple integration at last. just mu naught into d minus root of d square minus a square. Very simple integration. Okay, I will try to simplify it. If I end up getting some method by which we can do it in an easy way, then I will tell you. Otherwise, leave it. No need to do also. Okay. Anyway. Next, we have mutual inductance cases. One case is of the ring. Yes, that case is there. That I have not taken till now. If there are two coaxial rings, one large and one small, then again we can find out the mutual inductance. And one more formula I should have told, I think. I did not explain that. Mutual inductance between two solenoids. That is also very and another solenoid. What is the mutual inductance between these two? Sometimes one solenoid may be kept close to the other solenoid like this, the way I'm keeping it. And I took example also for this yesterday. L1 inductance, L2 inductance. So it happens that mutual inductance comes out to be proportional to root of L1, L2, and that proportionality constant is K. Sometimes K is called as coefficient of coupling. Coefficient of coupling. Value of K will be small if coefficient, if not much magnetic field lines pass from one and enter into the other. But if the 100% magnetic field lines, they overlap with each other, then the coefficient of coupling will be 1. Okay. So coefficient of coupling can vary. So they will be giving us, then we can find out what is the mutual inductance. If they don't give us, obviously we cannot determine. But for which case we can determine? We can determine for a simplified case where they are giving us this situation. One solenoid is in the other solenoid. Completely overlapping, full overlap. If it is full overlap, I will take partial overlap case also after this. If it is full overlap, outside is having self-inductance L2 and inside is having self-inductance L1. Outside has number of turns per unit length N2, inside has number of turns per unit length as N1. Length of overlap. Outside length is L2, inside length is L1, but here inside length is only the length of overlapping also. Can you tell me now what is the mutual inductance for these? How to find mutual inductance? Same method we will follow. We will send current only in one of these wires, and then in the other I will find out the flux linked because of that. So I will prefer to choose the outer one. Let us say outer one carries current I. So due to outer one and radius are R2 for this and R1 for the inner one, radius for inner one R1, for radius for outer one is R2. What is the magnetic field due to this wire? Mu naught into N2 into, let us call it I2. What will be the flux linked through the inner solenoid? What will be flux linked through inner solenoid?
Into pi R1.
What is the length of inner solenoid? Inner length is L1. Number of turns per length is small n1. So what will be capital N1? Capital N1 will be N1 into L1. And radius is pi R. Area for inner one will be pi R1 square. So what will be the flux linked? D into pi R1 square for one turn. But I need the total number of turns. Don't forget this part. Into capital N1, which will be equal to B into pi R1 square into, in terms of small n1 into L1. This is flux linked into, flux linked in one. Flux in 1 due to 2 divided by I2 will be M upon I2. What is B upon I2? B upon I2 is mu naught into N2. So what we get finally, mu naught into N1 into N2 into pi R1 square L1. That only, I think. Is it complete or something is missing? I think. Let us check once.
That's it, sir.
That's it. I think it is complete. I think.
That's it.
So now, in this case, pi R1 square L1 is the volume. Which volume? pi r square 1 L1 is the volume of overlapping volume. Means which is the common volume, I can say, common volume of both. So the mutual inductance for these two solenoids will always be like that only. It will be coming out in terms of common volume, the volume of overlap. Even if I ask you this question, where one solenoid is not completely overlapping with the other, but it is partially overlapping like this. As long as
Sir.
both the solenoids are big. Can I complete? As long as
Sir.
R2 is very, very small as compared to L2 and R1 is very, very small as compared to L1, then I need to see only this volume of overlapping. Then we will be getting answer in the exactly same way. N1, N2, N1. Our answer will be same again. M is equal to mu naught into N1 into N2 into this volume of overlap. Whatever this volume is. Volume of overlapping. Yes, ask Chandan what you want to ask now.
Sir, that in inner cylinder, inner solenoid, the opposite, means you drawn cross marks on up and dots on down, no, sir. That should be reversed, no, sir.
No. This is just a way to represent solenoid actually. I'm not saying current is entering here or going out.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm not telling the direction of induced current from this. I'm just, this is a way to represent solenoid. We represent solenoid like this. If I make this diagram, then it means it is solenoid, whether that is current carrying or whether that is without current, no current is there in that. Then also this is just a diagrammatic representation. Okay.
Okay.
It may not carry current also right now, but you know that mutual inductance does not depend whether it carries current or not. Mutual inductance depends on the shape and size. Why I need to worry about what is the direction of current? I'm not solving any circuit here. I'm not solving the circuit problem. I'm just trying to find out the mutual inductance, which is independent of the current. So I may say that this solenoid is not even connected to any battery, so it is or not connected to any loop also. If it is not forming a closed loop, then will the current flow through it? If it is just a open circuit, will the current flow? Current will not flow in that case. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Understood or not?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Right. So this is the formula then. At last, we got one more formula for our mutual inductance. Mu naught into N1 into N2 into volume of overlapping. And if you want, you can write in terms of, you see once whether we can write in terms of this or not. L1, L2 into K. We can convert it into that form. This K will come out in terms of volume of overlapping. It will come out in that terms. Okay. But we can determine the coefficient of coupling if we know the mutual inductance. Just L1 you know, L2 you know, so you can compare these two to determine the coefficient of coupling. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Sir,
This is,
sir,
yes.
yesterday you told this summer, sir. You wrote equations, series capacitors and inductors.
Yes.
For that is zero, sir, mutual inductance. No overlapping.
If I say, I told you yesterday that they should specify what is the mutual inductance. Okay, I understood what this boy is saying now. He is saying that I took L1 and L2 and there was no volume of overlapping. So why was I taking mutual inductance? I understand your concern. Yes, I understand. See, first of all, understand one thing. That the magnetic flux can still pass through it. You know that or not? Magnetic flux can still pass through the other solenoid even if it is not, there is no overlapping volume. So what I said is valid only under certain conditions. Here I am neglecting the flux which is in this part, in this outer region. Why? Because I am assuming that most of the flux is only in the overlapping part only. But it is true, although it is true that some flux may be in this part also. Let me see. Wait a second. I think this is a serious issue. Is it negligible or should I take it into account? I have to think about that. Then this volume of overlapping formula will not be correct. No, it will be becoming wrong. It is a serious matter because I'm assuming, although right now what my assumption was, I was thinking that mainly it will be here. Outside it will be there, but it will be less. So I neglected that part. But I think it may not be that less also, it seems. It may be something which is significant. So I think this formula may not be valid actually. But yes, at least for the first case, at least for the case for which we started deriving, there it is definitely valid. So, okay, then, okay, let us not generalize it. I think it may not be valid here. So let us not generalize it. It may not be correct here. But at least it will be valid definitely. For which case? For the case for which we have derived it in the beginning. Chandan, your concern is genuine. Because some flux may still be outside also. And if I start using this formula, then the mutual inductance will come out to be 0, which is not correct, obviously. They can still have some mutual inductance, although this mutual inductance will be much lesser as compared to the mutual inductance when they are having some real volume of overlap. But again, one more thing I want to tell here. Even when they have volume of overlap, what do you think? If I want to make a diagram of inductors, one inductor L1 and another inductor L2, do you think I will make a diagram in this way that it is there, then I will start again from inside and I will make another? That I will never do. It is just diagrammatic representation. Diagram means symbols will be like this only. You understand? It is just symbolic way to represent it. For example, there are spherical capacitors or not? Are there spherical capacitors or not? Are there spherical capacitors? Like they exist or not?
Yes.
They exist or not? Tell me.
They exist.
They are there. But does it mean if I have a spherical capacitor, then I will not represent it by this diagram, this symbol, and I will start saying, now because it is a spherical capacitor, so let us make this diagram. Do I do that or not? It is just a symbol. Same way, when this inductor is there and this inductor is there, even though they may be very close to each other, even though they may be overlapping with each other, but when it comes to the circuit diagrams, then those diagrams we represent normally in this way only, L1, L2, and I may still say that there is a mutual inductance. That I will represent separate. I will just say that is M. But I need not give you the physical situation that it was because of they are overlapping with each other or they are not overlapping with each other. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So physical situation may be different from the diagram which we are drawing. Sometimes I may be drawing like this also. This is L1. And I may say that these are in series only. So I can keep here also L2. No problem in that also. As long as while writing the mutual inductance, I am writing the same mutual inductance for these. I can shift these inductors to very large distance away also. Just solving circuits problems will not be, there will be same equations formed. As long as our equations are same, we are happy. But physical situation is one thing and writing in circuits and solving the equations is another thing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. But otherwise also, I think your point was still valid. So therefore I said that let us ignore that part. Volume of overlapping may not be always valid. But yes, if let us say somebody still asks this problem and he is not giving you any other information and he wants you to find out the mutual inductance, then I think I have really no option left. Then I will just assume taking this volume of overlap I will take, and then I will have to assume that outside the field is flux is very less or negligible. But although it may not be true, it may still have some significant flux outside also. It may not be right actually. Next we have yes, I wanted to take that example. Rings which are having same axis. Let us take one ring here and another ring here, coaxial rings. And this is the axis of this. Can you find out the mutual inductance if I give that BA is the radius, B is very large as compared to A. What is the mutual inductance? Or I can say this thing. Current flowing through the smaller one is I. Find the flux in the bigger one because of this current. Find out the flux in the bigger one because of this current. You know, if you know the mutual inductance, then mutual inductance into I will be the flux. So just focus on finding out the mutual inductance somehow. That answer will be automatically coming from there only. He is very fast. How did you get it? I think I did not even tell you distance. Do we need the distance for this or not?
Yes, sir.
X. Or I need which distance? I need oblique distance, I think. Or
Field formula, sir.
Field
R is given to you.
ring.
Field formula.
Let us say this R is given to you. Answer in terms of R.
AM by R cube.
So first of all, although they are giving current here, but should I take here? No, it is not easy for me to find out the flux in the bigger one due to the smaller one. But it is much easier for me to take the current here in the bigger one and find out the field here. In this also it is not easy. For the blue current which I have taken here now, for this also it is not easy to find out the field at all the points in the smaller ring. But these points are so close to each other, I will approximate. I will say that the field is same at all the points here in this region, whatever is at the center, that I will assume everywhere. I know it is not correct, but it will be still approximately correct. But on the other hand, if I start doing this thing for the, by taking the field at the center and I start saying that same field will be everywhere, it will be very big mistake because it is big ring. So there will be a lot of error in that. But there will not be much error caused if I take the field at the center and I assume same field to be everywhere in the smaller ring. So I will do that. First, I will take the field at the center of the ring. What is the field at the center of the ring? For that, somebody told me right formula only, I think. That formula was 2K into M for mutual. M is for magnetic moment also. What should I do? Okay, let me write it as magnetic moment vector.
I into pi r pi b square.
This is mutual inductance. It is mutual inductance, but that capital M vector is not mutual inductance. That is magnetic moment here. Vector is, it is vector, so it is magnetic dipole moment. I will not write it always, but now I'm using it for this time only. Do we write 2 here? Yes, 2K M by R cube, if you remember this formula for the field at the axis. But it is just once we have written. Next time I will be writing I into pi b square upon R cube. That is B. What is the flux then? Flux will be B into pi A square. What is it? At last it is 2K into I into pi B square into pi A square upon R. I can write as X square plus B square, I think, whole raised to power 3 by 2. That is flux. And what is flux upon current? I divide by current. Then I get equal to 1 upon I times this. That is M. Mu naught upon, what should I do now? Mu naught upon 4 pi.
2 pi.
With 2 pi. Mu naught upon 2 pi.
5
Into area of one into area of the other. Upon oblique distance, that R cube. In short form, I'm writing, it will be easy to remember, no, if I write in this way. Same thing only, but in short form. See, 2K is there or not? 2K is there, I think. Yes, that is 2K only. Mu naught upon 2 pi means 2K only. Why should I write that? It will be much easier if I write in this way. 2K. And in fact, it will be much better if I write this way also. A1 dot A2. So this is the general formula now which I have written, and it will be valid even if the area vectors are not in the same plane, same direction. Here, area vector for the first, in our present example, the area vector for the both these was in same direction. Was it right or not? A1 vector and A2 vector were in same direction. So the dot product will be just total area pi b square into pi a square. But sometimes I may tilt one ring at some angle. Let me take that example where I will be tilting it slightly. Maybe this is one ring here and other ring is this is not coaxial. This is different axis now. One axis is this side and the other axis is at some other angle. The angle between their axis is given as theta. Then angle between area vectors will be same as the angle between the axis. Now, somebody may think why this will create a difference in determining the mutual inductance. Still the field is same. Still I can say field into area. But understand, when we are saying field into area, then we are taking B dot A. Yes. So it will be field due to 1 into area of the second. And when I do that, field due to 1 will be in the direction of A1 vector. Field due to 1 will be in the direction of A1 vector. This side will be B1. But when we take the dot product, then it will give us B1 into A2 total into cos theta. So this cos theta, we will get same cos theta which we are getting from A1 dot A2 also. So it will be same thing only. What was B1? B1 was due to this. It is B and it is
2k pi b
A
square by r cube.
2k into pi b square upon r cube into A2 into cos theta. That is the flux. I is also there somewhere. I. Now.
Yes, sir.
Now we know pi b square is A1. So we are getting 2ki by r cube into A1 dot A2. Simple. That is the flux. Divide by I. So we got the mutual inductance which I wrote already before. 2k into A1 dot A2 divided by r cube. Notice again, it is dependent on the relative orientation of the loops. Dot product is there, so relative orientation also, not only the distance, it also depends on the relative orientation. This r sometimes may be taken approximately equal to x in those cases where x is very large as compared to b. Otherwise we should take it as r only, and r is not the, r is this distance, oblique distance from the circumference to the center of the other ring. So once we know the mutual inductance, what was the starting question? Starting question was this: in the smaller ring, the current is I. Due to this current I, what will be the flux passing through the bigger ring? Now we can easily answer it. It was very tough otherwise, but now we can answer because we know the mutual inductance. Then M into I will be the flux passing through the other ring. Right or not?
Yes,
M
sir.
into I will be the flux passing through the other ring. So we can do it easily now. Very good. You are able to do these questions. And one more thing I want to add here. It doesn't even matter whether the smaller area is of flower shape or whatever shape you may give this area to be. Doesn't even matter really. Or it is a square, it is a triangle, as long as it is small. As long as it is small. And it doesn't even matter whether the area is in same plane or it is in different two planes. For example, imagine a case where I have a rectangle, small rectangle, and I am just bending this rectangle in this way. And this bent rectangle I am keeping here. Then also it is valid. Then I have here, this area vector of this part will be what, how to resolve into area components. I will take two area components here. One area will be along x-axis and another area will be along y-axis. Then I can write the area vector as ax I cap plus a by j cap. And then again I can take A1 dot, this will be the net area A2. Then again I can take A1 dot A2 and it will still be valid as long as this area is small and as long as it is so close to this our axis that the magnetic field at all the points in this region can be assumed to be nearly same. That assumption should be valid. Magnetic field at all the points within this area should be nearly same. And that assumption will not be always valid. That is valid only when we are very close to this. So as long as you take small area very close to it, then whatever the shape of that area, doesn't matter, this wonderful formula will still be valid. But yes, the bigger ring, it must be ring only. This area I cannot change, the bigger area. Why? If I change this area itself, then I will not be able to determine the field at the axis. That field I know only when it is exactly a circular ring. I cannot even make it a square ring. If I make it a square ring, sorry, why should I call it ring? So, stupid thing. If I call it as a square frame, then for the square frame also, I cannot say that the field here will be this formula now. That will be different formula. What will be the formula now? If you determine that, if you are able to determine that, again, you go by the same method and you will still get some formula, which will be in the form of A1 dot A2. But this time, it will not be outside just 2k by r cube. It will be some other factor. So what that factor will be, those who are interested, they can determine once. I think I have determined the formula at that time when I was determining the formula for magnetic field. In that I have determined due to square frame also at a distance x somewhere,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Or not?
Yes, sir.
So use that formula once. Use that formula and try to find out the mutual inductance between one square frame and another square frame. We can determine between these two, or another circular frame. Smaller frame doesn't matter. Smaller one can be circular, square, or any other shape. Bigger one has to be well-defined shape, because from that only we are determining the field. And one more thing, where to keep these? We can keep in any location. For example, it may be concentric also. For the concentric case also I can determine this. Can we? Can we determine for the concentric case?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
R
For
equal
the
to B.
concentric also we know what is the field at the center of this due to outer one. Due to outer one, the field at the center is mu naught into I divided by mu naught into I divided by what?
2B.
2A, I think. B, yes, sorry, B. Outer one I'm taking B. Bigger one I'm taking B. Smaller one I'm taking A. Mu naught I by 2B. That is a magnetic field multiplied by pi A square. Can we derive this from the above relation which we got here? Yes. We can derive from there also. Here R will become equal to B. This will become 2K by B cube into A1 dot A2. You can check it. 2K by B cube into A1 dot A2. Is it right or not?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we can determine in this way. And what else? For mutual inductance, any other formula which we can think of? Time is nearly over. What is time? Up to what time do we have class? 3:40?
350.
9 minutes.
10 minutes are remaining. So, what questions are you doing these days? Pathfinder, are you doing or not? Are you doing Pathfinder? Some, I think Ramajnu has given you some assignment. Has he given or not?
Given, sir.
Are you able to do the questions from that assignment?
Sir, yesterday we did not try, sir.
Today you do the questions from Pathfinder and not from Pathfinder maybe. Today you don't do Pathfinder. Tomorrow you start Pathfinder. Today you finish questions of SCV and previous IIT. And other than that, previous IIT, I think previous IIT, if you have not done that, you do. Or maybe Erodov. Okay. Tomorrow I met, or if they give assignment, then you can do assignment also. Then you leave these things which I am telling you. But yes, previous IIT you definitely do always. Previous IIT and SCV that you definitely finish. Erodov you can leave. So if assignment is given, then in place of Erodov you start doing the assignment. But if assignment is not coming today, then you just do these topics. And tomorrow I will start Pathfinder. What?
Gave assignments.
Then you do then you don't do Erodov. Then you do just previous IIT and assignment. Okay.
Yes,
Right. Okay, then I am ending it now. It is enough. I think we have discussed nearly everything. If something is there which is pending and I recall it, then I will tell you that tomorrow. Okay. Okay, then let us end it.